If you search for sexual frequency, how often people have sex, the results vary significantly, and a lot of the research is outdated. It is important to have the full picture with reliable sources and the latest numbers, especially when it comes to sexual behavior, because the rates of activity are declining. This shows the fall in sexual frequency since the 1990s. I'm Dr. Lindsay Doe, clinical sexologist and host of this sex-curious show, Sexplanations. This episode is made in partnership with Bed Bible, a very informative resource that values large data sets and recent studies like I do.
To be educated.
The following analysis covers 107.9 million data points from more than 70,000 respondents between 1986 and 2023, the largest study of human American sexual behavior to date. There's a link in the description to request the raw data if you're curious. Okay, this is fun. Before I show you the statistics, take a moment and think about your own frequency, if it's interesting to you to compare. Some of you will over or underestimate, some of you have kept serious records, and others of you, your frequency is 0, and that's easy to remember. Here's a graph showing the sexual frequency per month organized by age groups. They're not the same intervals. 18 to 24 is a 6-year range, 25 to 34 is 9. It's just a way to compare one individual of a certain age group to an individual of that or another age group. I'm 42, so my peer group has sex an average of 4.3 times a month, which is actually close to the frequency average across all ages and genders. Ages 18 to 24, the average sexual frequency per month is 5.1 times, 4.7 for men, 5.5 for women. As for other genders, we still need more research. 25 to 34, the average sexual frequency is 7.3 times per month, 7.1 for men, 7.7 for women, making women in this age bracket the most sexually active of all the demographics included. 35 to 44-year-olds, the average goes down to 4.3 times a month, 4.5 for men, 4.2 for women. 45 to 54-year-olds, the frequency goes back up to 6 times per month, 6.3 for men, 5.8 for women. Maybe it's kids leaving the house. 55 to 64-year-olds is the biggest drop in sexual frequency to 1.7, 1.8 for men, 1.5 for women. 65 to 74, less than 1 time per month, although this is because of a gender difference. Men of those ages are having sex almost twice a month, whereas women are having sex closer to once every 5 months. Similarly to people 75 and older at 0.3 for the men and 0.1 times a month for women. Question: do you think people in partnerships or their single peers are the ones having more sex per month? Before I knew this answer, I would have guessed singles, but the research says couples. Here's the graph and the breakdown for people who are partnered. For the most part, sexual frequency declines throughout life until age 35. Coupled women have sex more often than coupled men, but overall, men have sex more frequently in couples than women do. The average sexual frequency in couples is 5.8 times per month compared to singles, which is 2.2 times per month. Here's a chart of average sexual frequency of Americans by relationship status. Those married, 1.2 times a week, approximately 4.8 per month. Cohabitating partners, unmarried but living together, have sex the most often at 1.6 times a week, 6.4 a month. People dating is 1.1 times a week, 4.4 per month, and unpartnered is 0.3 times a week, 1.2 per month. As in, being married usually means more sex than dating, but less sex than living together unmarried. Graph with more details. Married couples from age 18 to 34 have sex 2, 3, even 4 more times per month than unmarried couples. And then the unmarried couples gain on them. Bed Bible explains the statistical switch as those older than 40 often having newer relationships where sexual frequency is higher than the long-term married couples. Here's some big number reports Bed Bible formulated, which I think are fun for trivia. The average American couple has sex 73 times per year. Singles on average have sex 2.2 times per month. 25% of American couples had sex weekly. 10% of Americans didn't have sex in the past year. 5% of Americans had sex 4 or more times per week. The most sexually active age group is 25 to 34, where people have sex on average 7.3 times per month. I think the most noteworthy stat is that 61% of women and 80% of men say that sex is pretty good. When I messaged Bed Bible to get the remaining stats on this one, the other responses were that sex is okay, not that good, or I don't know. There is an argument to be made for quality over quantity, right? Sometimes. If you're wondering what factors are most often associated with the frequency of sexual intercourse, Bed Bible lists age, time, parity, which means equality in the relationship, pregnancy, duration of the relationship, intentions to get pregnant, relationship status, and contraceptive method. Curious, right? There's so much data to study and so many more questions to ask about all of this. How numbers fluctuate with culture, definition of sex, if we include all genders and all orientations, religion, education, frequency of masturbation, use of pornography, exercise, sleep, diet. Do cat people or dog people have more sex? Scientists or artists, employees or bosses, zodiac signs, political leanings, Myers-Briggs personality types, racialized groups. How does income influence sexual frequency? I want us to stay curious, and I don't want to use these numbers to shame or manipulate anyone into thinking that their frequency is superior or inferior in any way. If there's a difference in the amount of sex that you're having and the amount of sex that you want to have, there's a link to a helpful video in the description and to a site where you can connect with sex therapists who can offer more personalized solutions. Stay curious. Thank you to everyone at patreon.com/sexplanations for making all of this possible. If you'd like to join that community, patreon.com/sexplanations. Okay, woo, this is fun. And a lot of the... I have no idea. Nothing looks like words. 6.3 for men, something for women. Hi, little guy. I thought you were a cockroach, but you're not. You're just Gecko baby.
You think you're so funny, Gecko.